Hi, Brian McAboy here with Inside Out Trading. Today we're going to talk about three signs that will tell if you're gambling versus trading. You'd be amazed how many traders, professional people who've become successful enough to actually trade their own accounts and amass some money. They've done well in life and they know how to be a professional. But when it comes to trading, they step into it and they're gambling. They think they're trading, but they're gambling. So, how do you tell the difference? And I'm not judging anybody. I did it myself. My first year, I was straight up gambling. And when I was honest with myself, I realized I was straight up gambling. I really was. I did not have the edge that I thought I did. And so, okay, so here are the three signs that you're probably gambling versus trading. First one is, and this is very straightforward. This goes to one of the very basics of trading is, do you have a clear and documented strategy and system for your trading? Seriously, this is like the very first one. Because if you don't, the whole point of having a clear strategy and particularly a good, clean process, a very highly repeatable process, the whole purpose in that is so that you can go into your trading and have a reasonably well-known outcome, or at least you know that the odds are in your favor. The thing is, if you haven't clearly defined your process, you haven't proven it out, you haven't collected your numbers, all the kind of things that go into proving it out, and knowing that you have a highly repeatable process that will deliver your financial results, if you don't have that, you're gambling because you're sitting there saying, I think the market's going to do this, so I'm going to place a trade, a bet. And the thing is, you're placing bets. Trading is professional speculation. And so if you're not going into it and knowing what the odds are with every trade that you place, you're relying on chance to win. Seriously. By definition, you're gambling because you're not working with a known or a reasonably well-known outcome. So that's the first sign. The second sign, you're gambling versus trading, is if you're a discretionary trader, but you haven't really achieved a certain level of success and consistent success with your trading. Here's why I say this. Again, it's all about consistency. It's all about known outputs. And so long as you're dealing with unknowns, you're hoping that this will work, or again, you're being a discretionary trader. The thing is, with any business situation, a situation like this with trading, we don't want to be gambling. We want to know that the odds are in our favor. And the thing is, when you're a discretionary trader, unless you've already acquired the skill to do that and do that in a knowing manner, then you're gambling because you're sitting there saying, well, I'm going to wait until I get to the situation and I'll feel it out and I'll figure it out when I get there. The thing is, you're again going into it from a position of unknown. You don't know until you get there, and then you're going to decide when you get there. And you're going to toss the coin based on the last 5 rolls. It's been 6 or higher. Okay. No, that kind of thinking is a gambler's mentality, which leads us to the third one. Okay. So the first one is you don't have a well-documented strategy and system that you've proven out. The second one is being a discretionary trader. The third one's kind of tied to the first one. Actually, it's tied to both of the first two. And that is actually knowing the odds before you ever place a trade, knowing your odds of every trade that you place. You really should know the odds going in, not hoping the odds, but you actually know the odds, like in a number. Yeah, I've got a 72% chance of winning this trade because you've done your homework, you've done your due diligence, you've developed your system and what you're doing well enough that you can say, yes, at the end of any given month or any given quarter, over X number of trades, I should be making X number of dollars. And I know that based on proof, not hope, not wishful thinking. I know it based on proof because I have a very clear strategy. I've built a good solid process on it, which delivers repeatable output. I've tested it so that I know how well it works. And I know that I've trained up and my execution is this good. So overall, yes, I know that over any given reasonable period of time, these are my odds. And this is exactly what I should expect from my win rate and from my profits. And you can do this with trading. You can. The trading is one of the best business from a predictability standpoint. Trading is one of the best businesses to be in because it can get so predictable. Everybody loves talking about the uncertainty of the markets. There is an element of uncertainty as to what events might happen and when, but there are so many windows of predictability, and that's where we have our edge as a trader, that when you're doing it right, You're not gambling. You're not sitting going on unknowns. Okay, on any individual trade, are you going to say, "Am I going to win this trade or not?" No, you can't do it on every individual trade with 100% certainty. But over a reasonable number of trades, reasonable number, not 1,000. You don't have to go to 1,000 or 20 years, but you can say, yes, over a reasonable number of trades, I can reasonably expect to win this many trades and make this much money. That's when you're really doing it right. And if you're going on wishful thinking, if you're going on hope, if you're gambling versus trading, it's going to have an emotional element to it just because of the nature of what you're doing, because you're dealing with unknowns. That's where the excitement comes from. That's where the anxiety comes from. It's where the fear comes from. It's because you have these unknowns that you haven't resolved. And when you get a handle on the unknowns and you turn them into knowns, and you have the solid handle on your strategy and your process and your execution, everything settles down. Your emotions calm down, and you can make good decisions. And you don't have to fight with your emotions. You don't have to worry about discipline because your emotions aren't messing with you, causing you to want to do the wrong things. When you get yourself settled down and properly equipped for this, to where you're trading from a position of knowns versus gambling, where it's going on hope, maybe the gods will favor me on this roll today. No, when you get to where you're operating from a position of knowns and you've matured as a trader to a certain point, your emotions just plain calm down. And now this can be no more difficult than your regular job. And that's how it should be. When you get to this point, this is how it is. And that's really cool. And seriously, when you're trading versus gambling, it's a whole different experience. And that financial security that you've wanted all along, so that you can quit your job or go ahead and retire and provide a nice living from trading and have it be all that you wanted it to be from the beginning, that's when you get to realize it. And it's awesome. Seriously. I was able to walk away from a corporate job 20 years ago, and I didn't have to think twice about it because I knew I was solid over here. I had that security in what I was doing, and I had the security in myself. And I could walk away from the job that I was there largely because I enjoyed the work, I enjoyed the people that I was working with. And when that was no longer fun, I said, "See you later." And I walked out the door, and I wasn't worried about it. And for the last 20 years, I've been living life on my terms. And I would love to help you do the same thing. Swing by InsideOutTrading.com, book a call with me, and we can talk about your situation, get it sorted out, what's holding you back, where you need to fill in the gaps, where you need to fix things so that you're no longer gambling. You can trade and trade knowingly and have that security that you've been looking for all along. It's really cool when you get there. So swing by InsideOutTrading.com, subscribe to my channel, and give me a like down below. Share this with your friends. If you got a comment or a question, drop it in the comments down below. I look forward to helping you out. Talk to you soon. Cheers.